Hi everyone, Mike from the Excel Trainer here. Last week's video covered win-loss Sparkline charts, and as I was putting it together, a couple of questions came to my mind. First question was whether it's possible to have the bars at the same level. As you can see from this screenshot, the bars representing the positive values are aligned to the top of the cell, whilst the bars representing the negative values are aligned to the bottom of the cell. The second question was whether it's possible to set the colour for the values that are zero. I couldn't find a way to do either of these, so what I've done is I've created my own version of a win-loss chart with alignment and more than two colours. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. If you want to follow along with me, you can download a copy of the demo file from the link in the description below. This is my starting point, a set of positive and negative values representing the profit or loss of each division across each month. I'll start by selecting the cells with the numbers in, and on the Home tab, go up to Conditional Formatting Icon Sets. And the icon set that I'm going to use for this demo is the shapes with the three coloured circles. And what Excel does is it applies a different coloured circle to each cell. Now it does have some built-in rules to decide which colour to apply to which cell, but those rules need checking and probably changing. So I'll go to Conditional Formatting again, this time Manage Rules. Select the Icon Set rule and click Edit Rule. Now if you're using Windows, the Edit Rule button is at the top of the dialog box. Here on the Mac it's at the bottom. So I'll click Edit Rule. The first thing I need to do is change the type, because by default it's using percent and we're dealing with numeric values. So change both of these to number. I also need to change the criteria for displaying green, because as you can see it's going to display green when the value in the cell is greater than or equal to 0. And we want it to display green when the value is greater than 0. So change the comparison operator to greater than. So now we've got it set to show green when the value in the cell is more than 0, red in the cell when the value is less than 0, and yellow when it's exactly 0. But I want it to show grey, not yellow. So I'll click the drop down next to the yellow circle and choose a grey one. And once I've done that, click OK and OK again. And now we have exactly what I want, apart from it's still displaying the numbers. So I'll reselect the cells, go back to Conditional Formatting, then Manage Rules, select the Icon Set rule and edit it, and I need to tick the box that says Show Icon Only, which means only show the icon, do not show the number, and click OK. Finally, I'm going to align those circles and the month names with the centre of the cell. So select all the cells and align centre. So it's not exactly a direct replacement for the built-in win-loss chart, but it does provide a workaround for the shortcomings that I mentioned at the start of the video. Now, I came up with a couple of other examples, both related to soccer, but even if you're not a soccer fan, you can learn from principle and apply it to your own work. You often see in soccer magazines and TV programmes and websites the recent playing record of teams, and here we have two teams about to play each other, and you can see the last 5 matches, not the actual scores, but whether the team won, lost or drew. To be able to glance at the data and quickly spot trends isn't easy because our brains aren't wired for that. But if the data was structured like this, it's much easier. And for less distraction, I could even hide columns B to F, as long as people know what the colours mean. Because there's 3 options, won, lost and drawn, a win-loss chart wouldn't work anyway, because that only gives you 2 colours. So again, I turned to Conditional Formatting Icon Sets as the solution. But icon sets don't work with text. They only work with numbers. You can't say if the cell contains W, show green, if it contains L, show red. So what I did is I entered formulas into the cells. If I go up to G2, there's a formula that says if B2 has a W in it, display a 1 in this cell. If B2 has an L in it, display -1, otherwise display 0. And that's how I get 3 different values, positive, negative, and 0, to represent the one drawn and lost. I then copied that formula across to column K and down to row 3. I then applied conditional formatting. So I'll show you the conditional formatting rule. It's actually exactly the same as in the previous example. So I'll go to conditional formatting, manage rules, select the icon set rule and edit it. And it's saying when the value in the cell is greater than 0, show green. When the value in the cell is less than 0, show red. And when the value is exactly 0, show grey. I also used exactly the same concept to create a penalty tracker. In some soccer competitions, if the scores are level at the end of the game, there's a penalty shootout to decide the winner, where each team takes 5 penalties. And on the TV, you often see a penalty tracker showing penalties scored versus penalties missed for each team. So here, Team A has taken 2 penalties, scored 1, missed 1. Team B has taken 3 penalties, scored 2, missed 1. Again, I'll use conditional formatting icon sets, but this time it's a bit simpler as I only need 2 colours, green for scored and red for missed. So what I've done is I've created a formula in G2, and the formula is saying if we have an S, display a 1, if we have an M, display a -1, otherwise leave the cell blank. Then I'll select the cells that I want to apply the conditional formatting to, go to conditional formatting icon sets, and again I'll use the same icon sets as I used before. Then go back to manage rules and edit the rule. And as before, I want to change the % to number. I want to show it as green when it is greater than 0, because that will be a 1. I want it to show it as red when it's less than 0, but I'd want to show no icon when it's exactly 0. Now in this particular case, it won't actually use the yellow icon because anything that's a blank is not a 0. But just to show you something that you can do, I'm going to click the drop down next to the yellow and I'm going to say no cell icon. So it is actually possible not to have an icon for a certain criteria. I'll also show icon only and click OK. And there is our penalty tracker. So, did you find that video useful? If you did, please give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm up to, sign up for my weekly newsletter. And you can do that at theexceltrainer.co.uk. But until the next time, have an excellent day.